think by now we know that hitting a drop is a really important skill. It's a good way to neutralize your opponents when they're up at the net and they're looking to pounce on something high. We don't want to give them that, so when we play a drop, forcing them to hit up, we sort of take away their ability to hit hard and still easily keep the ball in play. And very often when we talk about drops, we talk about them in comparison to a drive, almost like they're opposites. And in some ways, they are quite different. The drive, of course, is a fast ball, and a drop is a slow ball. But I actually think that it's better to think about drops and drives as having more things in common than they do being different. I like to think of them as cousins, almost like they each have their own distinct identity, but they have a lot of things that are really in common with one another. Here, let me show you what I mean. Okay, so here you see me hitting some drives, and you can see that these balls that go fairly straight, fairly low over the net, sometimes they have a little bit of an arc, but not too much to them. Now, as we look at these drops, we see that these balls have a lot of things that are similar. Yes, they have a little bit more of an arc, but not a whole lot more. They also travel about the same height over the net. Now let's take a look at Irina Terashenko. Here she's playing with Leah Jansen. Take a look at her drop. Yes, it does have a little bit of an arc to it, but it's not a very distinctive one. It's not a huge arc. That ball still stays on a pretty flat trajectory. And if we look here at the apex, at the top of the arc, you can see it's not very high off the ground. I love the way Terashenko plays her drops, and you can see this one is descending as it crosses the net. That's important, but more importantly, that ball is forcing an upward hit. Here's another great example of how the drop and the drive actually look quite similar. This is a singles match, and here you can see that the drop, yes, it has a little bit of an arc, but it's not nearly as pronounced as we sometimes think. It's sort of like a rolling hill, more than it is like a mountain. Once again, we see that the height of the ball is still quite low to the net. And the drop easily does exactly what he wants. That is, force his opponent to hit up. So I encourage you, when you go out and you practice your drops and your drives, think about them as being quite similar. Think about them as having a lot in common. Almost think about the drop as being sort of like a slow drive. Yeah, with maybe a little bit of an arc. And I think you might surprise yourself how well it works.